Okay. So number 2, I got CJ Stroud. Of course, we got an A plus. You know what I'm saying? 4.0 all the way. Um, I I can go through all the stats. It'd be 258 pass completed, completion percentage of 66%. He passed for 3,600 plus yards, 3,688 for to be exact. About 10 yards per completion, 9.5 to be exact. He had 41 fucking touchdowns. And I believe his interception score was like 6. So like, well, his interception score was 29, but he had 6 INTs. So I to me, and his efficiency rating was 177, and that was the highest amongst the group. Now, one thing I did have on here that I added as a score factor that I think needs to be taken into account is the amount of the attempts, and I didn't really subtract for the amount of attempts that you had. I actually gave you credit for those because the more throws that you are allowed to throw in the offense lets me know that that coaching staff trusts you with the ball. And when you're going to go to the next level, what do they want you to do? Have the ball. We know the NFL quarterbacks are throwing 45, 50 times a game. Even if we don't like it, that's what's happening. And he had 389 attempts, which is the second most on this list. Tanner McKee had 426. That lets you know something about Tanner's mind and how they trusted him. But, you know, you get to CJ, and he had 389. So I like CJ Stroud. To me, it just depends on what's around him. Like a lot of these quarterbacks, but a lot was shown to me in the Georgia game that checked off a lot of the boxes for me that weren't exactly talent boxes. They were, what can you do against an it was like, can you get over this mountain? And he did. His kicker didn't, but he did. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, hey, no, real talk. He did. His kicker didn't. He's hella accurate. I love the decision making. I like the fact that he's really accurate, but he does just the opposite of Will Levis. He does not depend on his athleticism at all, really. He's quarterbacking out there. The fact that he had 3 of the best wide receivers that we're going to see in a while, that does make me kind of think on one side, what's he going to do if he doesn't have those type of guys? But on the other end, it lets me know that he's a guy that can do his job, which to me, as y'all have heard me talk about quarterbacks, that's the most important stat is, can you do the fucking job? Like, if we have guys that are super cold, can you get him the ball? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's step one, and he can do that. And then when crunch time comes, he can make that happen too. Me personally, he's my number 1 quarterback. I've actually, you know, Anthony Richardson is my favorite. Hendon Hooker, I really like him as well. But as far as we look at these guys and analyze them, we do have a number 1 guy. Y'all can call me stupid crazy, but I do like CJ Stroud over all these guys, and I do think he's going to be the franchise guy that takes his team to the Super Bowl.
That's some high praise. I can't get behind CJ Stroud as quarterback number 1 just because he played at Ohio State, and I'm a Michigan
I understand
guy.
that completely.
So even if I think he's
when we
great,
start talking about Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning, you will definitely see that hate.
But so I got to keep it a buck. However, now you want to talk about quarterback that's pre-packaged, ready to go. I think CJ Stroud's that guy. I think he's probably the most ready quarterback of this draft class to come in and contribute to an NFL offense right off the bat. I think he has an impressive, size. I think he stands at like 6 foot. He's 6'3.5" probably. He's going to come in around 210, 220 pounds, right? Maybe 215, somewhere in between there. I think he'll measure. I think his instincts as a passer are really good. I think this guy, I've seen him throw some passes that NFL quarterbacks can't make. I'm talking over the shoulder, in the bucket, where 2 guys are flailing over wide receiver. And I mean, this dude makes some impressive throws, dude. His mechanics are really good. I think he does a good job of identifying coverages. He knows how to read leverage as a quarterback. And I mentioned his accuracy. He's a really good anticipatory thrower of the football. He does a really good job there. I think he has slow eyes, like Will Levis. The thing about CJ Stroud is, when he's faced with pressure, I think things start to unravel for him. It's like he's one of those quarterbacks where everything's good. He's great. But man, when he starts to get pressure and like when his team like really needs him to will them to victory, I think he has a hard time doing that. And keep in mind, like you
You
mentioned,
think
he
CJ
plays
Stroud has a hard time willing his team to victory?
when the chips are down and tight. He struggles. He struggles.
What do you call the last drive against Georgia?
Bro, Georgia.
I'm sorry.
Georgia, they played a shitty game. That was their worst game all season.
I'm just saying though, because you're
what
right.
What about Michigan the last 2 years?
Oh no, okay, but I'm saying this. You're right about what you're saying, but at the game against Georgia, because normally to me, what I would say about that is he looks like when it unravels, he is very reluctant to use his athleticism. He is almost like Ben Simmons with trying to get him to shoot. It's like, dude, will you run? But he showed in this last game, which I think is growth. But it's growth into the next phase.
It is, but
if you never do something,
hold on. He did it because everybody was saying he hadn't do it, but he did it against Northwestern. But outside of that, he hasn't shown he was doing that. That's what I'm saying. Where everything is fine, when everything is good, he just throws the ball around like this. But when he faces pressure, that's when he has a hard time. Not to mention, he's had how many first-round wide receivers has he played with? True. That's a major benefit. That's a major benefit that like Will Levis didn't have, or some of these other quarterbacks didn't have.
None of these other quarterbacks had.
I think that has to be part of the discussion, part of his story, like who he's produced, and I think Ryan Day as an offensive coordinator and head coach is really good. They do a really good job at Ohio State, but I think it's like this. We know this when everything goes your way in a sense, right? They win a ton of games. It's hard to win. It's hard to win football games when there's adversity. I think that's something he has to learn. He hasn't been put in those situations, so his mechanics while under pressure suffer, right? But when everything's good, he's great, and he makes some passes that I'm like, damn, like there's not many kids that are doing what he's doing. But I think he's ready made, but what's his ceiling? So that's probably a better question. How far is his ceiling? It's kind of like the Baker Mayfield thing. Baker was polished coming into the league, but his ceiling was here. Josh Allen ceiling was here, but he was down here in terms of reps. You see what I'm saying?
True. But I think that when you look at CJ Stroud, I think you can raise his ceiling higher than Baker's. The reason why is because even though, like you said, we saw it at Northwestern, but especially this Georgia game, we saw what we wanted to see out of him when the going gets tough. When the going gets tough, are you going to fold or are you going to rise above everybody? And he rose above everybody else.
Yeah,
he lost, but he rose because only guys that lose. When guys lose, and we still talk about them. And I think the fact that it was something that we hadn't seen before, I would say that's a stepping stone into the next level that he's getting to rather than an anomaly that we won't see again. Because it was the biggest stage. He knows it's his last game in college. We know it's his last game in college. This is his last chance and opportunity he has to put heart on film, because that's what you're getting at. Does he have the heart to take your team if your team's not the stacked best team? And he showed that we aren't the best team. And they got a guy out here, Ringo, that's we're supposed to be talking about going to be one of the top DBs. And my guy's going to get open on him, but I got to hit him. And so I like the kid. I think that, like you said, I think he's ready-made, but I think his ceiling is high enough that the better that he will get will be better than the most of these guys.
Hey, you're not wrong. You're not wrong there.
All right.
But I think that we have to really pay attention to how much talent is put around him. Because if you go put him just around a bunch of also-rans and guys that are like number 2 receivers and stuff, you're gonna lose. Yeah. Now, if you get this guy a number 1 and a 1A and a running back, you're gonna do some damage.
Yeah, he's gonna have some good flashes, man, for sure.